Hello and welcome back to Flywheel Films. If you can't tell, we are at Miata Summer Camp, hosted by our friends at Flying Miata. And we have a very special, very fun car behind us. This is the owner, Kevin.
Hi, nice to meet everyone.
So I have my hood popped, and before we tell you what's special about this car, take a guess. Stock? Kinda not stock. We'll start with the similarities. Naturally aspirated 4-cylinder. That's it. Kevin has put a lot of time, energy, and funds into putting a Honda motor into a Miata, which some might consider controversial. Oddly enough, I think it's a lot less controversial than putting a different Honda motor in an S2000. We'll get into that in a little bit. But I am extremely intrigued by this car. We've known about it for a little while, and finally getting to see it and hear it on track the last couple of days has been a huge treat. So before we get into all the details of the build, Kevin, I wanted to ask a couple questions about how you ended up with this specific car for this build you had in mind. This is a 2007? 2006, okay,
Yeah.
so same year as mine. NC1, so it's the first sub-generation of the NC Miata. Why did you choose this specific car to kind of start everything? Because you bought this going into it knowing it was going to be a K-Swap car.
Yeah, I bought the car with the parts list of what I was going to get already set up. I knew exactly.
So this was just essentially a donor, but it was like a running, working, like nice car, right?
It was cherry actually. Yeah, it only had 70,000 miles on it, and I felt a little guilty pulling that motor.
It's NC1 though. It doesn't matter. It's that less desirable motor.
Yeah, because I couldn't sell it. Yeah, but I had been kicking around the idea of an S2000, but I wanted to do all of the work.
Yeah.
So the motor swap and everything. And with the amount of money I had to play with, I could just get a really nice S2000.
Yeah.
So, but I was always a Honda boy in love with VTEC. So, and I knew I wanted something rear wheel drive. So I started to play around with what you could throw one of these motors into. And then just with that idea, you stumble across, there's companies that make full kits for this.
Yeah.
And then I think Speed Academy had done a video on building one of these.
They sure did. Yeah, it was a super cool series they did.
And they helped me realize that this is like pretty plug and play.
Yeah.
For someone that's only done suspension work, I was able to completely swap this.
So you didn't have a shop do anything. This was all you and our friend Manny, right?
Yeah, I mean, I had it aligned at a shop, but that's about it. And tuned at a shop.
That is awesome. How long did it take you? So you bought the car last
October.
year, right? Okay.
October. I bought the parts in November.
Okay.
And they showed up in February. And I started, I think February. No, they showed up in January. It took about a month to build it.
Okay.
And then it took another 3 weeks to get on the tuner's schedule.
Okay.
And then the car was ready to go March 13th.
Wow.
We actually did it
you
pretty
got
quick.
to drive it in its stock form for a little while because it was bone stock when you bought it, right?
Yeah.
Like it pretty much was hardtop, was the only kind of like added extra.
Yeah, and then before the motor, I'd put the suspension on and rims and tires and stuff.
So you said S2000 was like kind of the thing you wanted, but you wanted to have something that you built. Mm-hmm. And so you kind of went for an NC because it was
rear-wheel drive.
Rear-wheel drive.
I could build it, and there was a components package that was plug and play.
Yeah. Did you ever consider any other Miatas? Because you see a lot of K-swapped NAs and Bs.
I started with the NB. I think like the aesthetics of the NB are the most attractive to me, but everyone kept talking about how the exhaust had to route underneath the transmission. It just seemed real stupid. And on top of that, I think there was a little more finessing with the wiring, whereas this one, like I mentioned, is plug and play. And I think you had to pin, I don't know if it was the gauge cluster or something, but it was enough to intimidate me.
Well, awesome. I mean, obviously, as an NC1 owner myself, I think the styling is underrated and very cool.
Yeah.
And I know you've kept the styling very minimal on the outside, at least so far. I know you've been talking to me a little bit about some of the aero stuff that you've considered doing. But I can't remember the name of this red. Is it just True Red?
I think it's True Red, yeah.
And then the matching hardtop, which you said was with the car, which is one of the reasons why you wanted to go for this one.
Yeah, I bought it
because you're not a convertible guy, right?
I'm not a convertible guy.
So you wanted to kind of a coupe, which there is an NB coupe over there, but that probably would have been a little bit more of an expensive donor car to start with. Well, cool. Huge fan of the car. I think why you chose to do what you do. Another quick question. You see NCs with 2.5s.
Yeah.
That's the common swap for the NC platform. If you're not familiar, 2.5 motor was kind of developed in tandem by Ford and Mazda, and it kind of just plops in where the 2-liter is. What deterred you from doing a 2.5, and then did you consider turbo as well?
I honestly never entertained it. Like, the idea of the project started with the motor.
Okay, so it's all just K.
Yeah, the motor and the parts list for that was put together before the car.
Wow, okay.
So I knew I wanted to do a Honda motor. I knew I wanted to do whatever I had to do to make the VTEC really crack. And then from there, we went to a car and then started to like finesse that idea or polish it. But I've also heard from people that track these cars with the 2.5s is like, there are people that do it in the GLTC series, and they always have the motor pop in one season, and these will last 1 to 2 seasons.
Yep.
And I keep hearing great things, but that's also, I think, because they keep the balance shafts, don't open them up too much.
Yeah.
And I didn't do any of that, so we'll see what that's worth.
So yeah, I guess we should also know this car was built to be tracked as well.
Yeah.
You've only tracked it a handful, or
literally four times.
4 times.
No, yeah, you're right. 3, sorry.
3.
Yeah.
So it's still fresh, but that was one of the reasons why you wanted to build this car, was for trackies. It wasn't just going to be like a Canyon Cruiser.
Yeah.
So you'll see the track focus mods as we walk through it. But yeah, let's get into the mod list. So just to make it simple for your memory and our viewers, let's start at front and just work our way backwards, and then we'll hit the interior at the very end. But obviously, the motor's a big thing.
Yeah. So if we just work our way from the intake back, we can talk about what was changed just from the Honda motor and not just the motor itself. Okay. So we obviously have an intake. The intake manifold is different, and they deleted a lot of the sensors that normally come around the throttle body.
Okay.
New fuel rail, new injectors.
I'm guessing a lot of this is K-Power stuff?
I ordered it. I think almost everything from K-Power, except for, I think even the cams and the valve springs, I also ordered from K-Power.
Okay, and there will be a full build list that we'll link down below for all of those who are curious about the parts that Kevin went with, and if we missed anything, it'll be in that.
Yeah, I got a spreadsheet, and people can shame me for how much I spent on this.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a little bit too.
So yeah, they have all this set up, and it just comes with the package if you decide to go that far, and then same with to chase down the B series VTEC that I was going for, they recommended the 3.2 DC cams. So I got those and the titanium valve springs to go with it. And it, hopefully you can put in a clip of it, but yeah, it kicks hard.
It howls, dude. Yeah. It's crazy.
But they're able to keep, like the NC power steering pump, so your steering feels the same. And if you look at the ECU that's normally here, it's chopped in half so that the Haltech ECU can communicate with the CAN bus system, so all your windows and headlights and everything work just as they should. And then, yeah, we have the Öhlins, road and track suspension.
He has like NC brake booster, NC fuse pan on here, NC coolant expansion tank. Like, you've kept the windshield washer fluid still in the same place.
Yeah.
You've been able to kind of maintain a lot of NC parts in this, where it's really just the motor.
Yeah.
Do you have AC? That's a big question because it is like 95 degrees.
I did have AC, but
what happened to it, man?
I didn't fill it. From what I heard, if you don't fill it, you can ruin the compressor. I don't know if that's true, but I ruined my compressor. So either way, it started to seize up, and so I got a different size belt, deleted it, and then because I have so much trouble sitting still, I ended up just pulling it out. So yeah, it can run AC, but I did take it out.
And then, what fuel are you tuned for? Because I know that's kind of been a big point of planning for you this trip.
Yeah, that's been a bit of an issue. There's no E85 here in Grand Junction, so I had to get 4 VP Racing 5-gallon things and carried on a hitch that started at 9 inches above the ground and ended the trip 2 inches above the ground, scraping on everything, which is
So
Not cool.
You're not flexible yet. You're just pure E.
All
pure
the 85.
corn juice. What kind of injectors are you running for that E?
1000 cc, and it pumps pretty good. I think I did PPIR 3 weeks ago, and I was getting 8 miles to the gallon, which is insane. It makes no sense.
What do you get like just driving like from here to Denver highway driving? What did you get?
14 to 16.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it makes you feel any better, my V8 and my GX does a little better than that.
Okay. Yeah, I feel great now.
All right, let's keep moving back. So obviously for the NC folks, if you want to show my car, you can, but a lot of the stuff is kind of in the same spot. Exhaust is still coming off the passenger side. This is a stupid question, I know the answer, but I'm teeing you up here. Is this a stock exhaust?
No, this exhaust came with the package too. It's like one of the add-ons you can have. Oh, thanks, man.
There you go. Left that behind yesterday.
I appreciate it. Yeah, it is a custom header and a custom exhaust. It's 3-inch all the way back.
Okay.
And K-Power makes it, and it's so nice. It has V-bands and everything.
Wow.
It's a really classic
So it's
exhaust.
all K-Power exhaust?
Yeah.
Okay. Like mufflers, resonators, cats, any of that?
Nope. I think there's a muffler technically.
Yeah,
but
in the rear, very rear you can see it, but I don't know if there's anything in between.
yeah, I don't think you'd believe there's a muffler if you sat in the car and tried to talk to someone in the passenger seat.
And then you already mentioned it's running on Haltech for all the engine management stuff.
That's right, yeah.
Is there a reason why you chose Haltech, or was it just the most known option for this type of swap?
So part of this whole swap being plug and play is that K-Power sets you up with the Haltech system. So they give you what you need. They build the wiring harness for you, and all you have to do is lay it on the engine and plug things in.
Wow.
And it goes all the way to plugging into the NC components too. So from the Haltech to the engine to the CAN bus system, they make it idiot proof. Honestly, you just set it on the engine and start plugging things in. And they're even labeled in these little yellow parts. So if you are confused, there's labels.
Yeah, mine doesn't have labels. All right, so that covers most of the engine-based stuff. It is a whole new subframe.
That's right. I feel like that's a big part of it too.
That is, yeah.
There's a little clearance issue with the NC subframe, so they use a subframe from V8 Roadster, and it's a really nice piece, actually.
Yeah.
I get a lot of compliments when I take it to an alignment shop and they got to get under the car.
And speaking of clearance, those who know your firewall there looks like there's some clearancing done.
Yeah, so I put in so this is a GT, but I put in a sport cowl, so no bracing here. And I cut a big hole, probably about this big, for the valve cover to fit in there. And I kept having to make the hole bigger and bigger too.
Yeah, you meant this comment earlier looking at our two engine bays, but the K-Series sits so much prouder in the engine bay compared to the MZR.
Yeah, I mean, the clearance is yours almost looks like it complements the rake of the hook, and mine's like doing the exact opposite.
I'm kind of shocked that you didn't have to take out like this insulation here. I'm kind of shocked the hood still shuts.
Yeah, me too. I keep hearing that I should take it out. And maybe I should try it, because as you can see, it's cutting into it at this point.
So this being a track build, I know you had a lot of thought into, or not thought, but I guess emphasis on having lightweight wheels, getting some very conscious decisions on your brake upgrades.
Yeah.
So let's start with brake stuff. What fluid are you running for those NC track rats?
It's still Willwood, I think 660.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you're on stock calipers.
Yeah.
But what rotor and pad are you running?
This is a lightweight 2-piece rotor that I got from Goodwin.
Okay.
With the slots. The slots are sort of still on this one, but I've
totally missing.
I've erased them essentially on the other side, which is crazy. It's only like a month old.
And then you're running some really hot Hawk pads, right?
Yeah, DTCs, I think the letters that come before it, and then 60. Yeah, so those are pretty aggressive, and it sounds like it too. Like if I'm not on the track, it's so screechy.
It's loud.
It's insane.
But I can attest to the braking force of those. It's pretty intense.
It's violent, yeah. It's violent. But that's why I feel like I don't need to upgrade the calipers, because this thing stops.
Those pads are nutty.
Yeah.
And then wheel-wise, you're running some NK PFL1s, right?
Yeah.
And they're 17 by 8?
17 by 9.
17 by 9, okay.
Yeah.
And then tire choice, what size, what tires do you go with?
I went with, God, what are these? Accelera Sport Extreme, and they're 245 4017s.
Okay, so little tiny bit of stretch on there.
Yeah, I feel like I could go wider.
Probably a little bit on the
Yeah, and I want to actually.
9 wides.
But these tires are so cheap that I was like, I gotta try it. They're like less than 150 per.
Jeez.
And I was like, man,
And
come on.
what tread were they? 200?
They say they're around 100. I don't know what
Wow.
it is exactly,
Okay.
but they're the sticky ones
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. And then in the rear, similar setup for brakes.
Yeah, I kept the HP Plus in the rear.
Okay, so still Hawk, but
Yeah, but
a
I
little
think
less crazy aggressive.
yeah, and on the upside, the rotors don't need to be replaced anymore, so that's nice.
Are you running stock rotors in the rear or still those 2-piece?
It's two-piece as well, yeah.
Okay.
So that's all 4.
And then let's make our way around to the back of the car really quick. I love the little nod to the powered by K24 there. And then we already talked about the exhaust a little bit, but this is just that K-Power full exhaust they have for it. I guess aesthetically, one of the few changes you've made is you did some Laminex tinting on the taillights.
I did, yeah.
Looks a little bit more like a NA taillight, which is kind of neat if you want to see stock. There, once again, my car is the stock example here. Not a whole lot else going on in the rear here.
Yeah, just more of like, I think another thing to point out is like when you're in the car, you can't really hear anything or talk to anyone. So I've been slowly removing anything related to making noises in the car. So the antenna is like completely deleted. I pulled out the amp and all the wiring and the speakers. I've taken the head off of the deck. I haven't pulled it out yet because I want to put something in there, but no inspiration has hit yet.
Yeah.
So yeah. Race car stuff, I guess.
Race car stuff. Speaking of race car stuff, you can probably see the really nice Blackbird Fabworks roll bar in there. That is the like hardcore bar that you cannot run a top with, correct?
Yeah, and I'm okay with that because like we talked about, I'm not big into convertibles.
And then let's come around and take a peek on the interior of this guy. Hello.
Yeah, I feel like the cool part, here, let's put the key in it. This IC7 dash. So the NC ones, the rev, the tach doesn't go up to 8, and this engine does rev to 8. And so half of the joy I feel like revving to 8 is watching it go. And so I spent a little extra money and got the IC7 so I could customize the dash. And
Could you have ran the stock dash though?
yeah.
So that's part of the...
And everything probably would have worked better. But I went for it, yeah, because now you have to like set up all the wiring on your own for the blinkers, the headlights, the gas gauge. The gas gauge took forever, even though it's pretty easy once you do it. I think I was just intimidated.
And then obviously you have Momo steering wheel. Very nice, very small. We love a small steering wheel and a Miata. And then what shifter is that the Cooler Works?
It's the Cooler Works, and I don't know if you haven't experienced it, I highly recommend you hop in someone's car that has it because it is a whole other level of shifting.
And it's crazy notchy. My former days as a Fiesta owner, there was a really big Cooler Works following there. They made a really neat one that kind of stuck up out of the dash.
Right.
And then you have Sparco Evo seat in here. Gotta keep your hips in check while you're hucking this thing around the track.
Yeah, I was doing a lot of sliding in the leather seat, and I thought there was like issues with my driving of the car, but as soon as you get a bucket seat holding your hips, everything clicks.
And the seats were actually recovered by the previous owner.
They were, and they look really nice, right?
Super nice.
Yeah. But
naturally, they look nice, and you just ripped them out.
yeah. As you can see yesterday on the track, I ripped that seat out as well.
Yeah. And then we got to shout out our boy Jackson with the Super Automotive Accessories door pull in here.
Yeah, thank you for those, Jackson. They're amazing.
Yeah, pretty well represented at the summer camp here. Aside from that, what are we missing on the interior? Anything else?
Flying Miata pedal covers.
Yeah.
And then I got a clutch extension.
Okay, yeah.
Because I have stubby legs apparently.
It's a common thing with NCs. Even for folks without stubby legs, I've seen a lot of people do the clutch extension.
Yeah, I put it in like for no reason. I just like ordered it, and once it was in there, I was like, I have to keep it.
Yeah.
I haven't thought about removing it once.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So you put down some really nice track times yesterday. I think on the last day, Friday. I think you were the fastest car.
I did get to the fastest car, but I will say it's only because I had Wednesday to practice, and someone that lives here, the guy that gave me this actually, he like walked me around the track and told me exactly how to be fast. So all I had to do was recreate what he told me in the morning when it was nice and cool, and it was pretty doable.
Yeah. Well, Kevin really wants to hear what this thing sounds like because he's never heard it from the outside.
Yeah.
So I think Jordan and I are going to take it for a quick spin and commentate a little bit on just how it drives because I've never driven a K-Swapped Miata before. So
yeah, and I know you guys said you don't want them, but if you do, there's earplugs in the glove box.
All right, we got ourselves in here somehow. Thank you a minute. Seatbelt's a little hard.
A little bit of an ordeal.
Driver's side, but
the new seat is nice.
dude, you're not moving.
I am.
That's great.
I'm stuck, dude.
I'm gonna throw some AC on. Oh wait.
Oh my gosh.
Dude, the shift is like 3 centimeters, if that.
Short throw who, you know what I mean? I'm gonna try to not stall this thing. I'm gonna give you a quick voiceover here as the interior of the car just got way too loud and our mic started clipping during the driving segment. Here all we're saying is it's very, very loud. I feel like my brain is vibrating and shaking. We should have taken Kevin up on his offer for earplugs because it was so loud. Jordan's watch even told him at one point that he was at danger of hearing loss. But that all was easily forgotten as soon as this happened.
Oh! Oh my god! I think I understand the VTEC situation. It's intoxicating. Does this make you not like your stock NC as much? Oh man. Oh my god! That kick is amazing.
What?
What?
I think your watch might be right about hearing loss.
The brakes, dude. That's crazy.
So Jordan and I made the bold decision to kind of raw dog that driving clip with no ear protection, and my brain is shaking, my eardrums hurt. I don't know, man. That thing is wild.
Yeah.
But
Very raw.
I get it. I get it. You shared the price with me before, and I was like, man, that is a lot for an NC. But then I drove it, and I was like, you know what? Okay.
It's pretty fun, yeah.
Okay, I get it. So on that note, I'm sure all the people are wondering, how much did it cost?
So if we're talking the whole build, right?
Everything. Car,
So there's the
parts.
car,
Obviously, there's
the
no
swap.
labor because you did it.
yeah, the steering wheel, the gauge, everything. It's about like $47,000,
Hey,
which is an obscene amount of money. But I might be off by a few thousand because
Yeah.
I didn't just reference the sheet, but if there's a link to the spreadsheet I made, you can see it.
Yeah.
It's there. And all the money I spent.
So I'm not going to beat around the bush. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money. But when you talk about a track prepped, track capable car that you've already proven this is with even just the times you've shown at Grand Junction Speedway,
Yeah.
it's not a crazy amount of money for a race car,
Yeah.
which that's essentially what this is.
And I feel like there's an investment there because, like, yeah, the upfront investment is a lot, but the consumables on a Miata, which is another reason to do it this way, is like they're pennies on the dollar compared to like a BMW.
Yeah, exactly.
If you were to get into that.
And you swapped a Japanese motor for another, probably more reliable, still extremely common Japanese motor. So even those consumables, like a motor as a consumable, is still remarkably cheap.
Yeah, I think they're $1,000.
So you're essentially paying for all of the surrounding bits to make the motor work.
Yeah.
But once everything is in place, it is a very cheap cost-effective car to run at the track, which I know is kind of what you're going for, something that would be easy and cheap to just take out and drive.
Exactly. Or fix.
Or fix.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then one other quick note, and I noticed this while driving, it still feels extremely drivable, and that's because it's still the NC transmission, right? So you're still running the 6-speed transmission. Are you on an upgraded clutch at all, or is it still a stock clutch?
It's a stage 1, but I don't feel like it felt any different than the stock.
Yeah, it felt super similar to my car. I was expecting to have to kind of fight it and like feather the throttle just to make sure I wasn't going to stall it out, but I was like, no, this feels just like my car.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
The only weird part is the shifter.
The shifter definitely took some getting used to, but holy cow, the throws are non-existent, and I totally see how that would be super great for banging gears on track.
Yeah, so. It really makes you feel race car when you're in it.
Yeah, well, we'll throw up some quick track footage that we got of this thing at some point during this video so y'all can see this thing in action. I actually rode with Kevin for a hot lap, and I was sore afterwards trying to brace myself.
I would love to see the video of you.
This thing is an absolute animal. Kevin, thank you so much for bringing it out this year. It was awesome to meet you and see it.
Yeah, of course. Happy to talk about it.
Yeah, if y'all have any questions, drop them in the comments. We'll do our best to answer them. Like I said, that build sheet will be listed in the description if you're curious about doing this for your own car, or you're just curious what parts you used. Thank y'all so much for watching. We will catch you in the next one.